Imagine a kingdom where gold is not just a currency. It is a language. A place where the weight of a gold ring, the intricate design of a necklace, and the dusting of gold on a king's sandals tell you exactly who he is, where he comes from, and the sheer magnitude of his power. Deep in the dense tropical rainforests of West Africa, one of the wealthiest and most formidable empires in human history rose to power. They built a highly advanced society, an undefeated military machine, and a culture so deeply rooted in tradition that it survived centuries of colonial assault. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are traveling to modern-day Ghana to explore the legendary Ashanti Empire. We will uncover the mythical origins of their nation, the absolute power of their golden economy, and the fierce warrior queen who led an entire army to protect the soul of her people. To understand the Ashanti, or the Asante people, you first have to understand the legend of how they were born. Before the late 17th century, the Akan people were divided. They lived in independent, often rival chiefdoms, paying heavy tributes to the dominant Denkira kingdom. But a brilliant leader named Osei Tutu realized that as long as they remained divided, they would always be conquered. Together with his chief priest and closest advisor, Okomfo Anokye, he called a meeting of the clan chiefs. What happened next became the defining moment of the Ashanti nation. According to oral tradition, the skies darkened over the gathering. The air crackled with thunder. And from the heavens, Okomfo Anokye summoned a massive solid gold stool, which floated down and landed gently on the lap of Osei Tutu. This was the Sika Dwa Kofi, the golden stool born on a Friday. Okomfo Anokye declared that this stool did not just represent a king. It contained the very soul, the spirit, and the survival of the entire Ashanti nation. If the stool was ever captured or destroyed, the Ashanti people would cease to exist. The chiefs were awestruck. They immediately swore allegiance to Osei Tutu, naming him the Asantewaa, the king of all Ashanti. The fragmented clans were instantly forged into a single, unified empire. The golden stool is so sacred that it is never allowed to touch the ground. It rests on its own blanket or its own throne. And here is the most incredible part. Absolutely no one is allowed to sit on it. Not even the king. When the Asantewaa is inaugurated, he is only lifted and gently lowered over the stool 3 times without ever making contact. With their nation unified, the Ashanti turned their attention to the vast resources beneath their feet. The soil of their kingdom was incredibly rich in gold. But the Ashanti didn't just mine gold, they mastered it. Gold dust became the standard currency for everyday trade in the markets. To weigh this dust accurately, Ashanti craftsmen created intricate brass weights. These weren't just boring blocks of metal. They were tiny, detailed sculptures of animals, weapons, and people, often representing proverbs or Adinkra symbols, a visual system of philosophy and wisdom. For the royal court, gold was the ultimate display of state power. When foreign diplomats visited the capital city of Kumasi, they were routinely stunned by what they saw. The king and his officials were draped in heavy, intricately woven kente cloth and adorned with massive gold necklaces, armbands, and rings. The royal guards carried swords with hilts of solid gold. Even the royal executioners wore golden ornaments. The Ashanti built a massive, thriving economy by trading gold, ivory, and captives with both the Saharan caravans to the north and the European ships arriving on the coast to the south. But an empire built on gold requires an army to protect it. The Ashanti military was one of the most organized and highly disciplined forces on the African continent. They adapted rapidly to new technologies, importing European firearms and mastering guerrilla warfare in the dense jungle terrain. Their society was also deeply matrilineal. While the kings were men, royal lineage and wealth were passed down through the mother's bloodline. This gave immense political power to the queen mothers. The queen mother was the second most powerful person in the empire. She had the authority to nominate the next king, advise on war, and act as the ultimate moral compass of the nation. And it was a queen mother who would lead the Ashanti in their darkest hour. By the 19th century, the British Empire was aggressively expanding its colonial grip across the Gold Coast. They saw the wealthy, defiant Ashanti kingdom as a massive obstacle. What followed was a brutal series of conflicts known as the Anglo-Ashanti Wars, lasting for nearly 100 years. The Ashanti fiercely resisted the British advance, inflicting devastating defeats on the colonial forces. But by 1896, the British used their overwhelming technological advantage to capture the capital city of Kumasi. They arrested the Asantehene, King Prempeh I, and exiled him to an island in the Indian Ocean. The empire was brought to its knees. But the final insult was yet to come. In 1900, the British governor, Sir Frederick Hodgson, called a meeting of the remaining Ashanti chiefs. He stood before them and demanded that they surrender the Golden Stool. He arrogantly declared that as the representative of Queen Victoria, he had the right to sit upon it. The chiefs sat in stunned, horrified silence. To the Ashanti, this wasn't just a demand for a piece of furniture. It was a demand to surrender their very soul. That night, the chiefs held a secret council. Many of the men, broken by years of war and fearful of British guns, hesitated. They debated surrendering to avoid further bloodshed. Then, Yaa Asantewaa stood up. She was the queen mother of Ejisu. She was in her 60s. And she had absolutely no fear. She looked at the men and delivered a speech that would echo through history. How can a proud and brave people like the Ashanti sit back and look while white men take away their king and chiefs and humiliate them with a demand for the Golden Stool? If you, the men of Ashanti, will not go forward, then we will. We, the women, will. I shall call upon my fellow women. We will fight the white men. We will fight till the last of us falls in the battlefields. Her words ignited a fire in the room. Yaa Asantewaa took command of the Ashanti army. She led a fierce, months-long rebellion against the British known as the War of the Golden Stool. Ultimately, the British brought in heavy artillery and reinforcements, and the rebellion was crushed. Yaa Asantewaa was captured and sent into exile, where she died years later. The British annexed the Ashanti Kingdom, but they never got what they came for. The Ashanti people successfully hid the Golden Stool deep in the jungle. The British scoured the country for 20 years, but they never sat on it. The soul of the Ashanti remained unbroken. Today, the Ashanti Empire no longer exists as an independent country. It is a proud part of the modern Republic of Ghana. But the culture, the traditions, and the monarchy survived. The Asantehene still holds massive cultural authority today. The kente cloth is worn globally as a symbol of African pride, and the Golden Stool still rests safely with its people. The story of the Ashanti is a reminder that a nation's true wealth isn't just in the gold it pulls from the earth, but in the strength of its traditions and the courage of the people who defend them. Thank you for watching. If the bravery of Yaa Asantewaa inspired you as much as it inspires us, leave a comment below. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell so you never miss a journey into the history of Africa. I'll see you in the next one.